Casual here. In last week's patch, People Can Fly finally fixed the Borealis Monarch Gear Set bonus. Not only did they fix it, but they also changed it. So I went back to the drawing board, I tweaked, I tested, I improved my Techno Frost build. But of course the big question is whether this new build is worth running. Oh hell yes it is. The original gear set bonus boosted weapon damage against frozen enemies by 90% and increased party critical damage by 10% on activation of Cold Snap. While the crit damage boost hasn't changed, the gear set now buffs all damage on frozen enemies. This is a huge change and opens up some really interesting builds. The first build I've come up with uses blighted rounds. Let's have a look at it. I'm sure that many of you are looking at this class tree and thinking, that's right, it's a pure middle tree build that finally works, and it is all down to the recent patches that have made health a viable way to survive. I'm picking up buffs to health, armor and resistance through the class tree, which gives me base health of nearly 38,000, physical damage resistance of 60% and anomaly resistance of 20%. With these stats I'm able to run this build without picking up any survivability mods at all. Layer in Blur Screen and Doctor of Medicine, which boosts my health regeneration threshold and healing, and I am also able to run Dark Sacrifice on my Amber Vault without being a glass cannon. Finally, the ultimate of the middle tree, Overclocked, not only buffs all damage by 40% on activation of a gadget skill, it also gives me a self-revive every 3 minutes, making me very tanky, yet still able to put out a ton of damage. With this build I am also running both Exposing Toxin and Frost, meaning that no matter what I am hitting it has vulnerable applied, and by picking up both Marked for Executions the damage buff is increased to 45% when both Toxic and Frozen are active. On top of that, both fractures add another 40% damage, making melting frozen enemies a breeze. Finally, I have picked up my favourite execute ability, Wipeout, to help take down those elites that just don't want to die. Cold Snap and Cryo Turret not only help me to freeze as many enemies as possible, with cooldowns under 20 seconds, I can alternate them to keep the damage buff from overclocked up all the time, as well as giving me the ultimate nuke through Icicle Storm. This nuke is huge and helps wipe big groups of enemies quickly, making CT15 goals achievable, as well as being great crowd control if you get overwhelmed. This is a Blighted Rounds build, which of course ties into Exposing Toxin and the build up of damage buffs on frozen enemies. This build is focused around maximising damage to enemies affected with Freeze and Toxic, so I'm running the mods Radical Therapy, Euthanizer, Freezing Boost and Shatter. These are complemented by the pretty standard damage mods of Captain Hunter, Sharp Eye and Bloodlust. Toxic Lead and Spare Mag ensure that I keep Blighted Rounds up for as long as possible, and I've already mentioned Icicle Storm and its Cold Snap nuke. There are a number of tier 2 mods that you could use if you are missing some of these. Crit Stack, Dum Dum Bullets, Stand Tall, Critical Analysis and Personal Space to name just a few. I am using all legendary armor pieces. The 3 pieces of Borealis Monarch are essential for the gear set bonus, and I'm using Sergio's Beret and Plague Sower's Hands to round off the build's look. These last 2 are not necessary, and feel free to use whatever armor you like here, with the right stats of course. The primary stats for this build are bonus firepower, long range damage, close range damage and 2 max health for survivability. Cooldown is a good stat as well to get the timing right on alternating Cryo Turret and Cold Snap. If like me you are playing on a console with a controller, then stacking health and close range damage makes sense. The targeting is just not as good as a PC where you can get away with more of a glass cannon build. I am running Killing Spree and Dark Sacrifice on Amber Vault, my main weapon. I think that this is the best weapon for console players, as you just aren't able to take out all the enemies at long range with a tactical assault rifle. You will be up close and personal with enemies for much of the time, and this is not a bad thing, as using your melee skill to apply Frozen is a great way to burn down those alphas very quickly. My second weapon is a Daimyo, modded with Ultimate Storm Whip and Shadow Comet. I use this weapon when Blighted Rounds is down and also in a pinch if I need to heal up very quickly. With the extra healing you get from Doctor of Medicine, proccing both of these mods heals you up to full in no time at all. On top of that, without the health drain of Dark Sacrifice, you can take a huge amount of damage when running this gun. I rarely use my sidearm with this build, but I am running Torment and Agony with Moaning Winds and Clip Combustion. 500,000 AoE damage on demand is very nice. This is a pretty easy and fun build to play. Rotate your cryo skills to keep damage buffs up, use your Icicle Storm nuke on packs, and don't forget to use your melee skill when needed to apply Frozen. Enemies go down incredibly quickly when both Toxic and Frozen are up, so it's worth taking the time to do so. Once you get the rhythm of this build, it is a top tier one. I've been running gold CC15 solo with it without any problem at all. On top of that, it is very tanky, and I think I only died once in getting the footage for this video, and that due to my poor play, to be honest. There are some other builds that I think will work great with this gear set. Look out for build guides on them in the future. Until next time, Casual out.